First contact gone wrong Commander Sarah Chen felt her heart racing as the shuttle approached the massive space station. The Intergalactic Trade Consortium's headquarters was unlike anything humanity had ever built. The structure stretched for miles in every direction, its surface covered in shimmering panels that seemed to bend light around them. Ships from dozens of different species moved around the station like busy insects, each one representing a civilization that had mastered interstellar travel long before humans had even dreamed of leaving. Earth. Sarah adjusted her dress uniform and looked at her team. Dr. Marcus Webb sat hunched over his tablet, reviewing their presentation materials, one final time. His nervous energy was obvious as he pushed his glasses up his nose repeatedly. Lieutenant Rosa Martinez checked her ceremonial sidearm, though they all knew it would be useless against the advanced species they were about to meet. The three of them had spent 2 years preparing for this moment, and everything humanity hoped for depended on the next few hours. The shuttle docked with a soft thud that barely registered through the artificial gravity systems. As the airlock cycled open, Sarah took a deep breath of the recycled air and stepped forward. An alien greeted them at the entrance, though alien seemed too simple a word for the being that stood before them. It was tall and elegant, with skin that looked like flowing silver mercury and eyes that held depths Sarah could not understand. When it spoke, the words came through a translation device that hung around its neck. "Welcome, humans of Earth. Guide Nexus 7. We will escort you to the presentation chamber." The being's voice was melodic but cold, like music played on instruments made of ice. As they walked through the corridors, Sarah noticed other species watching them with what she could only describe as curious amusement. Some whispered among themselves, pointing at the humans with appendages that ranged from tentacles to crystalline formations that served as hands. The presentation chamber was enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above. Representatives from 50 different species sat in floating seats arranged in a perfect circle around a central platform, where Sarah and her team would make their case. The diversity was staggering. Some aliens looked almost human, while others defied description. One species appeared to be made entirely of living light, while another resembled giant trees with faces carved into their bark-like surfaces. Admiral Vixen of the Consortium Council floated forward in his chair. His species, the Crystalline Collective, had bodies that looked like they were carved from precious gems. When he moved, light refracted through his form in beautiful but somehow threatening patterns. His voice resonated through the chamber without any need for translation devices. "Humans of the planet Earth, you have requested membership in our consortium. This is a significant step for any species. We have reviewed your preliminary data, but now we must see for ourselves what you offer to our community of advanced civilizations." The Admiral's tone suggested he had already made up his mind, and Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Dr. Webb stepped forward and activated their holographic display system. 3-dimensional images filled the space above the platform, showing Earth's greatest technological achievements. Honored members of the consortium, humanity has made remarkable progress in the past century. Our fusion reactors now power entire continents with clean, sustainable energy. We have eliminated most genetic diseases through advanced medical techniques. Our quantum computers can solve complex problems that were impossible just decades ago. The presentation continued for 20 minutes, with Dr. Webb explaining each innovation with passion and pride. He showed them the Mars colonies, the asteroid mining operations, and the breakthrough in faster-than-light communication that had allowed humans to detect the consortium signals in the first place. Sarah watched the alien faces carefully, looking for signs of interest or approval. What she saw instead made her stomach sink. They were laughing, not all of them, but enough to make it clear that humanity's greatest achievements were being treated as entertainment. The laughter was not malicious, exactly, but it was the kind of sound adults make when watching children play with toys. Admiral Vixen raised one crystalline hand, and the chamber fell silent. "Dr. Webb, your presentation is quite charming, but I fear there has been some misunderstanding. When we speak of advanced civilizations, we refer to species that have mastered the fundamental forces of reality itself. Your fusion reactors are quaint, but we abandoned such crude energy sources. Millions of years ago, we now draw power directly from the quantum foam that underlies all existence. Another alien, this one resembling a massive insect with rainbow-colored wings, clicked forward on multiple legs. Your quantum computers are adorable toys compared to our consciousness-based processing systems. We think solutions into existence, rather than calculating them. Your medical advances pale beside our ability to manipulate matter at the molecular level to prevent death entirely. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice steady. We understand that our technology may seem primitive compared to yours, but humanity has shown remarkable adaptability and innovation. We have overcome countless challenges and continue to push the boundaries of what is possible. Given time and the opportunity to learn from other species, we could contribute valuable perspectives to the consortium. The chamber erupted in more laughter, louder this time. Admiral Vixen's crystalline form shifted through several colors, before settling on a deep red that Sarah instinctively recognized as a warning. Commander Chen, your species has barely learned to leave its home planet. You still use chemical rockets for most of your space travel. Your fastest ships would take decades to reach even the nearest consortium worlds. You wage wars over resources that we consider worthless. You have not even begun to understand the true nature of reality. A being that looked like a column of swirling gas spoke in a voice like wind through metal. We have observed your species for some time. You show promise, perhaps, but you are centuries away from readiness. Come back when you have learned to manipulate space-time itself, when you have transcended the limitations of physical matter, when you have achieved true unity as a species. Dr. Webb tried to interrupt, but Admiral Vixen continued speaking. The consortium has voted. Earth will be classified as a Tier 5 primitive civilization. This means you have no rights in interstellar space, no protection under consortium law, and no claim to resources beyond your immediate solar system. Your request for membership is denied. Perhaps in a few thousand years, your descendants will. Be ready to join civilized society. The finality in his voice left no room for argument. Sarah felt the weight of humanity's hopes crashing down around her. But then she heard something that made her blood run cold. As the various alien representatives began to disperse, she caught fragments of conversations in languages her neural implant could partially translate. Rich system ... abundant resources. No meaningful defenses ... Survey teams could begin immediately. Primitive weapons pose no threat. The third planet has perfect atmospheric conditions. Minimal population relocation required. Lieutenant Martinez had heard it too. Her hand moved unconsciously toward her weapon, though they all knew it would be useless here. Sarah caught her eye and shook her head slightly. They needed to get back to Earth with this information, and starting a fight in the heart of the consortium would accomplish nothing except their own deaths. As they were escorted back to their shuttle, Sarah's mind raced through the implications. The aliens had not just rejected humanity's request for membership. They had revealed their true intentions without even trying to hide them. To the consortium, Earth was not a potential partner, but a resource to be harvested. The casual way they had discussed it made clear that they saw humans as little more than animals to be managed or removed as convenient. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks, and Sarah used every moment to plan. She sent coded messages ahead, using channels that she hoped the aliens could not intercept. By the time their shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere, Sarah knew that everything was about to change. The age of humanity's innocence was over. They had reached out to the stars seeking friendship and found only predators waiting in the darkness. General Thorne met them at the landing facility, his weathered face grim with the knowledge that Sarah's preliminary reports had already conveyed. Behind him stood a group of people Sarah had never seen before, men and women in uniforms that bore no national insignia. Their presence suggested that Earth's response to the alien threat would involve resources and capabilities that even she had not known existed. Commander Chen, General Thorne said as she disembarked, I need you to tell me everything. Every word, every gesture, every hint of their intentions. Because based on your initial reports, we have perhaps 6 months before they decide to solve their primitive human problem permanently. Sarah nodded, her resolve hardening like steel. The aliens had made one critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had assumed that primitive meant helpless. They were about to learn the difference between technological advancement and survival instinct. Humans had not conquered their home planet and reached for the stars by accepting defeat gracefully. They had done it by adapting, innovating, and fighting when cornered. The consortium had rejected Earth's request for membership. Soon, they would discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. Humanity's real test was just beginning, and Sarah Chen intended to make sure her species passed with flying colors, no matter what it took. Asterisk when. Earth strikes back 6 months after Commander Sarah Chen's return from the consortium station. The alien armada appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Kethfer commanded the fleet from his flagship, a vessel so massive it could have housed entire cities. The ship's hull was covered in weapons that could shatter moons, and its shields could deflect the energy output of small stars. Behind it, 99 other warships spread out in perfect formation, each one representing overwhelming force by human standards. Admiral Kethfer was a member of the Drakmari species, beings that resembled giant reptiles with skin like polished, obsidian and eyes that glowed with internal fire. He had conquered 17 star systems for the consortium, and each victory had been achieved with minimal effort. The primitive species always followed the same pattern: initial resistance, crushing defeat, then submission or extinction. He expected the humans to choose submission, though he was prepared for either outcome. On Earth, alarms screamed across every military installation on the planet. In the command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thorne watched the tactical displays with grim satisfaction. The alien fleet was exactly where Earth's strategists had predicted it would be, positioned to demonstrate overwhelming force while remaining outside the range of humanity's known weapons. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the alien flagship, reported Communications Officer Lisa Park, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Admiral Kethfer's imposing form seated on what appeared to be a throne made of crystallized starlight. Humans of Earth, the alien commander began, his words translated into perfect English by sophisticated systems. I am Admiral Kethfer of the Consortium. Defense Force. Your species was evaluated and found lacking in the basic requirements for civilized society. This system has been designated for resource extraction and colonization by species more suited to its proper development. General Thorne stepped forward, activating the response system. Admiral Kethfer, this is General Thorne of Earth Defense Command. We reject your claim to our system. Earth is the sovereign territory of humanity, and we will defend it. The alien? Admiral's laughter rumbled through the speakers like distant thunder. General, your courage is admirable but pointless. We have observed your military capabilities. Your most powerful weapons cannot penetrate our weakest shields. Your fastest ships cannot outrun our slowest fighters. Surrender now, and your species will be allowed to serve as laborers in the mining operations, resist, and face extinction. The transmission ended, and the command center fell silent except for the hum of computers and the distant sound of fighter jets launching from bases around the world. Everyone present knew that conventional forces would be useless against the alien armada, but they also knew that Earth's real defense had been preparing for this moment in facilities that the aliens could not detect. Professor James Yu walked into the command center, his normally calm demeanor replaced by intense focus. He had spent the past 6 months overseeing the final preparations of Project Nemesis, humanity's secret weapon system. Behind him came Captain Elena Vasquez, a woman whose steady nerves and tactical brilliance had made her the obvious choice to command Earth's experimental starship. General, Professor Yu said, The Prometheus is fully operational. All systems are green, and the crew is ready. We can launch within the hour? General Thorne nodded, then turned to address the room. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 30 years, Project Nemesis has been humanity's most closely guarded secret. While the world thought we were building bigger missiles and faster jets, we were actually developing something far more revolutionary. We studied not just alien technology, but the fundamental principles that make it possible. What we discovered changed everything. On the main screen, tactical displays showed Earth's orbital defenses engaging the alien fleet. As predicted, humanity's CONBETION weapons were completely ineffective. Energy beams that could vaporize asteroids barely scorched the alien hulls. Nuclear missiles that could level cities exploded harmlessly against energy shields that seemed to absorb their power and grow stronger. Admiral Kethfer watched the pitiful human resistance with something approaching boredom. The orbital stations were destroyed within minutes, their debris adding to the cosmic dust that already cluttered the system. A few human ships attempted to engage his fleet directly, but they were swept aside like insects. The Admiral was beginning to compose his victory report when his sensors detected something unusual. Commander Zex-High, he called to his tactical officer. What is that energy signature emerging from the third planet? The subordinate alien studied his displays, confusion evident in his posture. Sir, it appears to be a single human vessel, but the energy readings are ... impossible. No primitive species should be capable of generating power levels approaching our own cruisers. High above Earth's atmosphere, the Prometheus broke through the concealment field that had hidden its construction. The ship was beautiful in a way that human vessels had never been before, its hull flowing like liquid metal while bristling with weapons that seemed to bend space around themselves. At 2,000 meters in length, it was smaller than the alien flagship, but radiated an aura of barely contained power that made even the hardened crew members feel a mixture of pride and fear. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in the command chair, her hands steady on the controls despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. Around her, the bridge hummed with activity as her crew prepared for humanity's first real test against advanced alien technology. These were not the best of Earth's military. They were something entirely new, individuals who had trained there. Entire adult lives for this single mission. All stations report ready, Captain, announced Commander David Kim, the ship's executive officer. Weapons systems are charged, defensive fields are active, and the quantum drive is operating within normal parameters. Elena opened a communication channel to Earth. General Thorne, this is the Prometheus. We are beginning our approach to the alien fleet. Whatever happens next, remember that humanity has never surrendered to anyone, and we are not about to start. Now, the response came immediately. Understood, Captain. Give them hell? The Prometheus accelerated toward the alien armada at speeds that should have been impossible for any human-built vessel. Admiral Kethfer watched in growing alarm as his sensors registered energy signatures that rivaled his own flagship. When the human ship began to engage his outer perimeter vessels, his alarm turned to shock. The first consortium cruiser to encounter the Prometheus simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, shields up and weapons charging. The next moment there was only empty space and a slowly expanding cloud of exotic particles. The human ship had fired some kind of weapon that bypassed energy shields entirely and unmade matter at the quantum level. Impossible, Admiral Kethfer roared, rising from his throne. No primitive species could have developed quantum dissolution. Weapons. Our intelligence reports showed crude fusion reactors and chemical propulsion. The Prometheus continued its attack run, moving through the alien formation like a blade through silk. Each time it fired, another consortium vessel disappeared. Completely. The aliens tried to respond, but their weapons seemed to pass through the human ship without effect. What they did not understand was that the Prometheus existed in a state of controlled quantum flux, making it technically immune to energy-based attacks. Professor, Liu's breakthrough had come from studying the fundamental nature of reality itself. While the aliens had advanced by building bigger and more powerful versions of conventional technology, humans had learned to manipulate the quantum foundations that underlied all existence. The result was a ship that operated on principles the consortium had never encountered. As the battle continued, more human vessels began to appear. These were not the primitive craft the aliens had observed before, but sleek predators that moved through space with impossible grace. Each one was equipped with weapons and defenses based on Professor Liu's revolutionary discoveries. The tide of battle began to turn as the consortium fleet found itself facing an enemy that should not have existed. Admiral Keffer finally understood the magnitude of his error. The humans had not been primitive at all. They had been preparing, learning, and developing technologies that even the consortium had never imagined. His fleet, which had seemed invincible moments before, was being systematically destroyed by an enemy he had dismissed as insignificant. Retreat. He commanded, his voice filled with a fear he had never experienced before. All ships, retreat immediately. Send word to the Consortium Council that our intelligence was catastrophically wrong. The humans are not primitive. They are? Something else entirely. But it was too late for retreat. Captain Vasquez and her fleet had no intention of letting the aliens escape to plan another attack. The battle continued until only Admiral Kethra's flagship remained, its shields failing and its weapons offline. Only then did the human ships cease fire. Helena opened a communication channel to the alien admiral. Admiral Kethver, this is Captain Vasquez of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet has been neutralized. You will return to your consortium council and deliver a message from humanity. We did not seek this conflict, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves against any threat, regardless of its origin or supposed superiority. The alien admiral appeared on the screen, his proud bearing replaced by something approaching respect. Captain Vasquez, I underestimated your species gravely. How did you develop such advanced technology without our knowledge? Elena smiled, though there was no warmth in the expression. Admiral, you made the same mistake that many others have made throughout history. You confuse technological advancement with intelligence. Humans may not have your energy shields or dimensional drives, but we have something far more valuable: the ability to adapt and innovate when our survival depends on it. 3 days later, Ambassador Zara al-Rashid stood in the same presentation. Chamber where Commander Chen had been rejected months earlier. But this time, the aliens were listening with respectful attention as she outlined humanity's terms for peaceful coexistence. The consortium had learned that primitive did not mean helpless, and that sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one you dismissed too quickly. Earth had earned its place among the stars, not through superior technology, but through superior determination. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. Asterisk.